If your trading feels boring, you might actually be doing it right. I know that sounds backwards. I know you came into this expecting excitement, adrenaline, the thrill of catching big moves and making fast decisions. But if that's what your trading still feels like, if every session is an emotional roller coaster, if you're constantly stimulated and engaged and feeling things intensely, you're probably not trading well. You're probably trading emotionally. And emotional trading, no matter how exciting it feels, doesn't build wealth. It builds stories. It builds highs and lows. It builds an addiction to the feeling rather than a focus on the outcome. Profitable trading feels boring. It feels repetitive. It feels like doing the same thing over and over with no drama, no excitement, no emotional intensity. And most traders can't handle that. They mistake boredom for stagnation. They think if it's not exciting, they're not really trading. But the truth is the opposite. If it's exciting, you're probably doing something wrong. And if it's boring, you might finally be doing something right. Let me explain why excitement is dangerous in trading. Excitement means your emotions are involved. It means you're getting a dopamine hit from the activity itself, not from the quality of the execution. And when dopamine is involved, when you're trading for the feeling, you stop trading objectively. You start chasing that feeling. You take trades not because they meet your criteria, but because you need the stimulation. You need the rush. You need to feel something. And the market is really good at providing that feeling. Every tick is feedback, every move is stimulation, every position is a source of hope or fear or anticipation. It's designed to keep you engaged, to keep you watching, to keep you acting. And if you're susceptible to that, if you need that stimulation, you'll overtrade. You'll force setups. You'll stay in positions longer than you should because exiting feels like the excitement is ending. You'll take risks you shouldn't take because boring trades don't give you the same emotional payoff. This is why so many traders struggle. They're addicted to the feeling of trading, not the results. The feeling, the excitement of being in the market, the drama of watching their position move, the intensity of making fast decisions. And they confuse that intensity with productivity. They think being busy, being active, being stimulated means they're doing the work. But they're not. They're just feeding an emotional need. And the market doesn't reward emotional needs. It punishes them. Profitable trading removes the dopamine. It removes the excitement. It turns trading into a process, something you do the same way every time regardless of how you feel about it. And that process, when executed correctly, is boring. It's the same setups, the same risk management, the same entries and exits, over and over. No variation, no improvisation, no emotional involvement, just execution. And most people can't tolerate that. They need novelty. They need stimulation. They need to feel like something is happening. So they sabotage their own process by adding drama, by taking trades that are slightly different, by adjusting their plan in real time, by making it interesting, and in doing so, they destroy the very thing that would make them profitable. Consistency. Let me tell you what discipline actually feels like in real life. It doesn't feel empowering. It doesn't feel motivating. It feels mundane. You wake up, you check your alerts. You see if your setup is there. Most days, it's not, so you do nothing. You check again later. Still nothing. You close your platform. You go about your day. No trades, no action, no excitement, just another day of waiting. And when your setup does show up, you take it. You set your stop. You set your target. You walk away. You don't watch every tick, you don't adjust mid-trade, you don't second-guess yourself, you just execute the plan and let it play out. And that's it. That's the whole process. Boring, repetitive, emotionally flat. Compare that to how most traders operate. They're watching every move. They're in and out of positions constantly. They're adjusting stops, taking partial profits, re-entering, second-guessing, reacting to every piece of news, every price movement. Their heart rate is elevated. They're stressed, they're engaged, they feel like they're working, like they're trading, but they're not trading. They're reacting. And reaction feels productive because it's active, because it's stimulating, but it's not strategic, it's not disciplined, it's chaos disguised as effort. And chaos doesn't produce consistent results, it produces random outcomes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but there's no edge, no pattern, no process you can rely on. Discipline is the opposite. It's calm. It's predictable. It's boring. You know what you're going to do before the market even opens. You know your criteria. You know your plan. And you execute it the same way every time. No exceptions, no adjustments based on how you feel, no improvisation, just mechanical execution of a tested process. And that feels boring because it is boring. There's no novelty, no surprise, no emotional intensity. You're just doing the same thing over and over. But that repetition, that consistency, that's what allows edge to reveal itself. Because edge only exists over a large sample of identical executions. If every trade is different, if you're constantly adjusting and improvising, you never accumulate the data you need to know if your approach actually works. You're just guessing, hoping, reacting. Discipline removes the guessing. It removes the hoping. It makes trading predictable, not the outcomes, the process. And when the process is predictable, boring, repetitive, that's when you can finally see if you have an edge. That's when results start to stabilize. Not because you're doing something exciting, but because you're doing the same boring thing consistently enough for the math to work. Let me show you the difference between how amateurs and professionals experience trading. Amateurs need trading to feel a certain way. They need excitement. They need to feel smart when they're right and frustrated when they're wrong. They need the emotional feedback, the highs and lows, the drama. And they structure their trading around getting that feeling. They take trades that are interesting. They watch positions closely so they can feel involved. They react to every move so they can feel like they're doing something. Professionals feel nothing, or close to nothing. They take a trade and it's just another execution. It works or it doesn't. They don't celebrate wins. They don't spiral after losses. They just record the data and move on. There's no emotional attachment. No need for the trade to validate them or make them feel a certain way. It's just business, just process, just execution. And that emotional neutrality, that's not because they're cold or detached. It's because they've removed their identity from the outcome. A winning trade doesn't mean they're a good trader. A losing trade doesn't mean they're a bad trader. The trade is just one data point in a distribution. One execution in a long series. It doesn't mean anything by itself. And because it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't create emotion. It's just information. This is what most traders never reach. They can't separate their self-worth from their results. So every trade becomes personal. Every win is validation. Every loss is a threat. And that emotional involvement makes it impossible to trade objectively. Because they're not executing a plan. They're seeking emotional outcomes. And you can't control emotional outcomes. You can only control your process. Professionals understand this, so they focus entirely on process. Did I follow my criteria? Did I manage risk correctly? Did I execute according to plan? Those are the only questions that matter, not how much they made, not whether they were right, just whether they did what they said they would do. And that focus, that shift from outcome to process, that's what creates the emotional neutrality that makes boring execution possible. If this perspective is different from what you usually hear, like the video and subscribe. This channel is about longevity, not hype. About what actually works over years, not what feels good for a week. Let me normalize something for you. Boredom in trading is not a problem. It's a feature. It's a sign that you're no longer chasing stimulation, that you're no longer using trading to feel something, that you've made the shift from emotional involvement to mechanical execution. And that shift, that's progress, that's growth, that's you becoming the kind of trader who can actually sustain this long-term. Most people never make that shift because they can't tolerate boredom. They need constant stimulation, constant novelty, constant emotional engagement, and trading can provide that if you let it. But if you let it, if you keep seeking that stimulation, you'll never build consistency. You'll just keep cycling through the same patterns. Excitement followed by disappointment. Confidence followed by doubt. Action followed by regret. Boredom breaks that cycle. Boredom means you're not reacting. You're not seeking. You're not chasing. You're just executing. And execution, real execution, is boring. It's supposed to be, because the market rewards consistency, not creativity. It rewards patience, not activity. It rewards discipline, not excitement. Think about any other skill you've mastered. At some point, it became boring. The initial excitement of learning wore off. The novelty faded, and what remained was just repetition, practice, doing the same thing over and over until it became automatic. That's mastery. That's what expertise feels like. Not exciting, Not stimulating, just competent, just capable, just boring. Trading is the same. If you're still getting excited every time you trade, you haven't mastered it yet. You're still in the emotional phase, still seeking validation from the activity itself, still using it to feel something. And until you move past that, until you can execute without needing to feel anything, you'll struggle to be consistent. Because consistency requires you to do the same thing regardless of how you feel. And you can't do that if you're using trading to regulate your emotions. Here's the long-term mindset shift you need. Stop measuring trading by how it feels. Start measuring it by how consistently you execute. Boring is good, neutral is good, repetitive is good. These aren't signs that you're doing it wrong. They're signs that you're doing it right, that you've removed the emotional interference, that you've built a process you can rely on, that you're finally trading the market instead of trading your feelings. And I know that's hard to accept. I know you came into this hoping for something more exciting, more engaging, more something. But that hope, that need for trading to be exciting, that's what's keeping you stuck. Because exciting trading is emotional trading, and emotional trading is inconsistent trading. And inconsistent trading doesn't build wealth. It just builds stress. What builds wealth is boring. It's doing the same thing over and over. It's waiting when there's nothing to do. It's executing when your setup appears. It's managing risk the same way every time. It's exiting according to plan regardless of how you feel. It's treating every trade the same. No special attention, no emotional investment, just process. And the beautiful thing about boring is that it's sustainable. You can do boring for years. You can show up to boring every day without burning out. You can execute boring consistently because it doesn't drain you. It doesn't require emotional energy. It doesn't demand that you be in a certain state. You just do it. Same way. Every time. And over time, over hundreds or thousands of executions, that boring consistency compounds into something significant. But you have to be willing to let go of the excitement. You have to be willing to trade in a way that feels emotionally flat. That doesn't give you the highs you're used to. That doesn't make you feel like you're doing something important or impressive. You have to be willing to be boring. And most traders never get there. They keep seeking the stimulation, keep chasing the feeling, keep making trading about the experience rather than the outcome. Don't be most traders. Embrace the boredom. Welcome the repetition. Accept that good trading feels like nothing. Because feeling nothing means you're finally executing from clarity instead of from emotion. And clarity is what creates consistency. And consistency is what creates results. So here's what I want you to take from this. If your trading feels boring, don't fight it. Don't try to make it more interesting. Don't add complexity or novelty just to feel engaged. Lean into the boredom. Let it be boring. Let it be repetitive. Let it be emotionally flat. Because that flatness, that neutrality, that's what discipline actually feels like. Not exciting, not motivating, just calm, just consistent, just boring. And over time, you'll realize that boring is exactly what you needed, that the excitement was the problem, not the solution, that emotional involvement was the thing sabotaging your results, and that by removing the drama, by making trading boring, you finally gave yourself the chance to be good at it. Not because you found some secret, but because you stopped fighting the process. You stopped needing it to feel a certain way. You just showed up, executed, moved on. That's what profitable trading looks like. Not highlight reels, not dramatic wins, not exciting stories, just boring, consistent execution over time. And if you can accept that, if you can make peace with the fact that good trading feels like nothing, you've already moved past where most traders ever get. Because most traders never accept the boredom. They keep searching for the excitement, and they stay stuck because of it. You don't have to be stuck. You just have to be willing to be bored. This is Trader's Mental Edge, where trading starts in the mind.